Raider Nation, what is the deal, man? Once again, it's your guy Panama Fargo, and I'm back to y'all live with another episode of the Raider Rundown. And today, man, I want to get into a real deep dive with Marcus Peters, what he can bring to the Las Vegas Raiders, man, and what we can look forward to. So, without further ado, let's get this theme music rocking. Let's get into it.
As a young guy, I had a dream that someday I would build the finest organization in professional sports.
What is the deal, man? Once again, you watch another episode of the Raider Rundown. Make sure you're tapping on the like and subscribe button, man. And please tap on the share button, man. Whatever you can do to help me get this channel monetized, it is much appreciated. But without further ado, man, like I said, what I'm trying to get into today is a real deep dive of Marcus Peters and what can he bring to the Las Vegas Raiders. So without further ado, let's get this thing started. About Marcus, right? We can't talk any further or start anywhere before we address his injury that he had in the 2021 season. Now, remember, he tore his ACL, and now from that year to the year after that, which was 2022, he spent rehabbing. Okay, now he played in 13 games for the Ravens last season. Okay, but you have to remember, when you're coming off an ACL injury, you know it takes the body a minute, right, before it can get really back healthy. Right, I think the only guy I've ever fucking seen bounce back from an ACL injury like that was Adrian Peterson. That's the only guy I've ever seen do that. So, you know, for us regular mortal beings or somebody that's not fucking Adrian Peterson, right? It takes somebody at least a year to get back to how they were really feeling before that knee injury, right? So when you're talking about Marcus Peters, last year was his year to get his feet back wet again, get his body back acclimated to the speed of the game. And now this is where we're at. So this year we should see a fresher, a more healthy Marcus Peters coming into the season, right? Now, when you look at his stats, he had an interception. He had 47 tackles, okay, playing in 13 games. At the end of the day, now let's look at his past. He had a sack as well. You feel what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, now, when we're sitting here looking at that, he still was able to be productive in a 13-game span. Now, what is he going to bring to the Raiders? I don't believe he was the man coverage corner he used to be, right? But at the end of the day, he still is good at that. That is still one of his staples as far as his game. So he'd be able to do that in this Patrick Graham scheme. But we know from Patrick Graham, he likes to be very versatile in his scheme and his coverage. So now when we talk about the press man, we are also going to see Marcus Peters playing a lot of zone as well. Now, when I went back and watched some more of his tape from last year, I was seeing him play a lot of zone type of coverage with the Baltimore Ravens. But the one thing that stood out to me more than anything stood out to me in the tape was his ability to read and dissect plays, right? You can tell this guy watches a ton of fucking film. You can tell just by the way he's reading some of these plays, by the way he's chopping down on some of these, you know, like screen plays. There's a number of plays, but you can go look. There are a number of screens that he's just reading, dissecting, and meeting that receiver at the line of scrimmage. So at the end of the day, I think this guy is going to bring an immense amount of attention to detail in the secondary, right? Something that the Raiders have lacked for a while, right? And when you're talking about the rest of the secondary, what is one thing that we severely needed that I've been preaching for the whole type of off season, right? I have been preaching that we need length and we need a true legitimate outside corner because we have a number of corners on our roster, right, that can play a versatile type of coverage and versatile type of position. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of slots, right? It's a lot of slot type of cornerbacks or slot builds, okay? So now when you're looking, this finally gives us a true outside corner, right? Somebody who can man one of the outside spots. And now Nate Hobbs can either play another outside corner or Nate Hobbs can now slide back into the slot position, right? Where he was when and we can get this thing rocking and rolling. I feel like this is going to be a perfect signing as far as not only on the field, but off the field. Now, let's continue with what Marcus Peters can ultimately bring to the Raiders right now. When I talked about his ability to decipher these plays, his ability to read these plays. Now, like I was touching on his knee injury, this is the one thing that I think Marcus Peters is going to bring that he has brought to every team he has stopped at: the ability to get his hands on the football. And that's an ability that not everybody in the NFL has. Let's keep it a buck. If every defender in the NFL had the ability to get their hands on the ball, we see a lot more turnovers, a lot more interceptions, deflections, whatever the case may be. There are just certain players who knows how to be around the ball, who know how to find the football regardless of where it's at. Marcus Peters is one of those players, man. We have to accept the fact that he is one of those players. Now, when you look at everywhere he's gone, that is the one distinctive factor that always stands out, whether it be fumble recoveries, whether it be interceptions, pass deflections, whatever it may be. Marcus Peters has shown through whatever team he's been on, he has been able to bring that ability with him, right? And that's something that I think the Raiders are, well, let's be honest, right? Something that the Raiders have been lacking for fucking a decade. Let's just be real, okay? So at the end of the day, when we're talking about shit like that, we needed players that are going to come and change that narrative and change the fortune of this team. Marcus Peters is one of those players, right? He's able to get his hands on the football. And with the year now removed and now a year to be healthy, recover from that knee injury, now we can sit here and probably see him play those plays a little faster, read the plays a little faster, right? I was already telling you that last year, in those 13 game span with the Ravens, you were seeing him read and dissect plays and meet ball carriers at the line of scrimmage, right? Meet these screens at the line of scrimmage, be able to be physical in the run game, come down and make tackles. Now, from a year removed to that, knee healthier, we'll be able to see him do these things faster, at a faster pace, right? And that's what we are hoping that Raider Nation gets. I think this is going to be comparable to the Casey Hayward signing that the Raiders made a few years prior, but I think he's going to take this a step above, a step beyond, because he's going to bring that attitude that is sorely needed in that secondary. We sorely need a fuck you attitude when we play the likes of the Chiefs and the Chargers, right? And for my last point, like I was already touching on just previously, right? We needed length in that room because of teams like we play, like the Chiefs and Chargers, right? Especially the Chargers, who have those big body receivers that we've been struggling with as a secondary because we're throwing guys like Nate Hobbs, Meek Robertson, right? Guys of that nature out there, which is not, a knock or anything, but at the end of the day, the size is going to play a factor. Even with Denver, we've seen it with Denver multiple times that the size plays a factor against this secondary, okay? Courtland Sutton, right? Jerry Jeudy isn't that big, but Tim Patrick is pretty big. The guys they have over there at Denver are pretty big and outweigh our corners most of the time. Now, finally, we got some outside corners to combat that, right? And now we can put some other guys in the slot that can now be versatile. We can mix and match, right? Play different types of coverages. Like I've been saying throughout the entirety of this offseason, this secondary is probably going to be the bright spot of the defense, I think, right? It's a lot of young talent, a lot of veteran talent. It's a good mix of people in that room, right? A good mix of attitudes, a good mix of dog competitiveness. I think the training camp battles for this cornerback position, especially for slot, the training camp battles are going to be something to watch and monitor. And when the season goes underway, I think this secondary is going to be a real bright spot for this team. I really do, especially for this defense. I really do think they're going to be a bright spot. But that's my deep dive of Marcus Peters, man. I really think he's going to bring a lot of versatility to the room. At the same time, man, get his hands on the football and let's start making some fucking turnovers, man. Like he said in his video, it's time to up the standard, right? And the standard has to be set. So now this is what we're looking forward to. Like I said, man, it's been another episode of the Raider Rundown. Make sure you are tapping on the like and subscribe button, man. I cannot thank all y'all enough. This channel is growing so far, but let's keep going, man. We always strive for greatness on here, and you know what time it is. So like I said, keep hitting the like and subscribe button. And remember, on the Raider Rundown.